Hello guys, welcome back, and today we're gonna be talking about Hollow's Heart. So yeah, let us begin, ladies and gents. So basically, after the whole transformation, which if you don't realize is essentially Bleach, yeah, I mean I did say it in the first episode, but still, anyway, continue on, as we currently see our boy Izuku as he's now turned into a Hollow. Over the years, after he died, he essentially became a powerful, extremely powerful Hollow. I'm not even joking. Essentially, because of his hatred for, well, Hero Society, or more specifically, Heroine Society, and I'm not gonna say it, it's probably going to sound really bad out of context, but you probably guess what exactly what I'm going to say. Is that, well, he sort of hates yeah, the other side, I guess you could say. And because of that, he became stronger and stronger, eating mostly heroine souls, or, the souls of any woman that comes his way. Mostly women that are terrible to men, or, terrible in general, essentially. After all these years, he essentially became a really powerful, yeah, a really powerful, what was that called? A Rancor. Yeah. After these years, after becoming an Arankar, he would also finally arrive at, what is that called? Not Waco Mundo. Let me just check. Yeah, now I remember. Los Noches. Or at least I'm just gonna call it that, even though I'm technically the Philippines are, also associated with Spanish stuff. I do not speak Spanish. Like at all. So I might pronounce things wrong. Like for example, fracción, or numeros, or exequias. God, sweet lord. Anyway, continue on. As while Izuku became a Hollow, he would also become a really, really powerful, Orankar. To the point that after, and by the way, in this timeline, this is after, like, the Thousand Year Blood War slash, the soon to be Hell Arc of Bleach. This is essentially like, after the entirety of Bleach, essentially. So, no more Haribel, no more, Grimjow and stuff like that, and no Aizen, essentially. In this case, Waco Mundo became somewhat changed after that. After this, the most Hollows are basically living in Los Noches, are somewhat much more peaceful. Well, as peaceful as, Arancars are supposed to be. I mean, look at Grimjow over there, or, Noitora. As while this happened, they would also make their own police force, which were just the Exequiers again, made by, I can't remember his freaking name, let me just check his name, aka, Rudabone? Rudaborn, or, remember, not really good with Spanish names, or at least I think that's supposed to be Spanish. Anyway, continuing on, as Rudabone is currently now the leader of this police force. But not only that, there's also a new version of the Espada led by, actually, I'm not going to be naming who is actually, the actual, like, creator of this new, version of the Espada. But more or less, there's this new Espada. And Izuku himself was basically recruited by them, becoming the Ceros Espada, aka the strongest out of all of the Espada, essentially. The reason why is because, well, immense spiritual energy, and not only that, he also has a pretty unique, Sampokto. Or should I say Sampoktos? Yes, he has multiple. In this case, his Sampokto's name is known as Los, or let me just actually check the name. His Sampokto's name is known as El Diablo, aka, when translated into just, regular Spanish. From English, it means the devil. But in this case, it means heavenly great demon. Yeah, I'm doing that type of thing. So, as his Zanpakuto is a bit special, just like we said last time. Special that it is almost similar to an actual Zanpakuto that a Soul Reaper would use. What do I mean by this? Well, it has a Zanpakuto like spirit. Or in this case, spirits. In this case, he's able to summon, or should I say use, the Zanpakutos of the original, the original Ten Espada, aka the one from the original series. Yes, he's able to use Grimgel's, powers, for example, or for another example, Yami's powers, for example. Not only that, he's able to use the Resurrections, which, I mean, he sometimes uses it. I mean, rarely, considering that there's, rules in, Los Noches, especially since, ever since the whole, the Thousand Year Blood War. I mean, remember last time? Yep. Oh boy. So, because of this, he's considered as the strongest Arrancar, right next to the king, even. As besides that, he's mostly just rarely talks to anybody. In fact, he doesn't even have a fraction. He actually just prefers to be alone. The reason why is because, well, most of the residents in, in Las Noches are either female or sometimes, male. It's almost exactly just like, back in the, in the mortal plane where they're basically just like, high birth rates of females, to males. Because of that, he's mostly just doesn't want to deal with them, especially since about his past life. Yeah. Oh boy. So, because of that, he rarely talks to any of, rarely talks to the other Espada members. I mean, the ones that he does talk to are like the ones that are boys, but most of the time he just acts cold to everybody. The reason why is because, how do I say this? Yeah, when he revived, he essentially almost acts similarly to, Yukiora in a way. What do I mean by this? Well, he essentially doesn't have anything, any emotion and at all. Except, here there's a bit of a difference. Unlike Yukiora, who doesn't believe in the heart, or, now believes in the heart in a way, instead, he knows it, but doesn't care. He honestly doesn't care anymore. He doesn't believe in friendship, or even camaraderie. Considering that he's the strongest, he doesn't need help. Because of it, he honestly doesn't want to deal with anyone. After, all these years of basically acting as like the Ceros Espada, he's mostly just been, protecting the area, exploring, and also taking care of some lower tier hollows, like for example, Ajuchas or, Vasto Lordes. And also, at the same time, he also just works alone as well, and also have to deal with paperwork. I'm not joking, they also have paperwork. Yeah, it's the in Las Noches has become a little bit more civilized, but not really at the same time. So, as we currently see our boy Izuku, or in this case, he just calls himself Izu now. Izu Fernandez. Because the whole like Spanish thing, blah blah blah. So, because of it, he's also has a somewhat, quiet, demeanor to everybody as well. And while he's currently, doing paperwork, he would be talking in his mind with some of his Zanpakuto spirits. And I quote, Zanpakuto spirits. As while he was doing this, he would be, the basically be in his mind as he would, be talking to some of his Zanpakuto spirits, quote unquote. Oh yeah, I almost forgot to show you his actual design. Yep, I think it was one of my favorites currently. I didn't do like the whole using like IBS paint yet, but I think this is alright. I guess. I especially love the design of the mask that I made, or at least somewhat. But or at least the pieces of the hollow mask that he has. But either way, let's continue on with the episode. As one of the people that was talking to him was that of a man with brownish hair and brownish eyes, wielding some sort of katana, or should I say Sanpakuto, as he would say. Oh, hey Izu, he would say. As as after saying this, Izu would just say, "So what are you doing?" He would say. As he would say this to him, "Well, recently we wanted to ask, are you still fine about us? Considering that you're not technically a hollow with us inside of you. In fact, it's more like you're an actual Soul Reaper, or Shinigami." After saying this, Izuku would just say this to him, them. "Obviously, I'm okay with it. The only thing that matters is power. Nothing else, and nothing more," he would say. As the blue haired man would say, "Hell yeah," he would say. "Yes, as always, his boss is always right," he would say. As after saying that, one of them would say, "Enough of this, Grimjoe. Let Master do whatever he wants, and try not to cause any trouble." As the man would basically say this, as the man would look towards his master, aka Izu, as he would say, "So, what do you want to do currently?" As you'd say, "I'm just gonna be finishing up my work. Then I'll get some rest." As he would say, "Very well." As after saying that, as a large, muscular man would say, "Yeah, I'm feeling kind of hungry. Hey, boss, I want to try and get me some souls or something, so I can munch on." As Izuku would, or just Izu would just say, "Fine, Yami. Now, I should be continuing on with my work." After saying this, he would go back into the real world, or at least back in Los Noches, as he continued on with the paperwork. As while he was finishing up some work, he would be called in by the king of Los Noches currently. As after being told of this by one of his, by one of the, Nimeros, which are basically just regular soldiers essentially, he would start leaving. While he was leaving, he would notice a few, members of, of the Espada there too. Some of them, like for example, as the king would say this, "Good. All of you are finally back," he would say. As after saying this, all of the Espada would basically bow down. As he would say this, "Don't need to bow down to me. Now raise your heads. I have an announcement." As after saying this, all the Espada would basically rise up as they would look towards their leader. Or at least, the king. As he would say this, "So, after the Thousand-Year Blood War, we've recently gotten some information about the remaining Sternritter. I want all of you to try and hunt them down and murder them. Leave nothing, and leave them despaired." After saying this, Izu, and the rest of the Espada would basically nod their heads. As he would say this, "One of our numerals have found this. They're apparently in the nearby, what is it called? In the nearby Menos forest. Now, I want you to try and kill every single one of them, including you, my loyal Ceros, Espada." After saying this, he would basically say this to him, "Thank you, my lord." As he would say, "Now, go and slaughter them." As after saying this, all of them would basically start leaving and going towards the Menos forest. And so, this is where we're gonna be ending off this episode. And I'm not gonna be making any videos for a while because I'm also gonna be preparing for graduation soon. So yeah, hope to see you by then. Bye bye!